we are in the post-COVID kind of recovery phase. What would you expect wages growth to be at the moment?
Well, the Reserve Bank says that it's got to be over 3 in order for the economy to remain healthy. But as we know, it's nowhere near that, not even half that at the moment. And that's a huge problem. It's a problem because we're depending on consumer spending, and that's working people, the grassroots, having money to spend in their local businesses. And if wages continue to be this low, it's going to jeopardise not just the recovery but sort of the ongoing health of our economy.
How do you get wages to go up without doing it artificially?
Well, there's a couple of things that the government absolutely needs to do, and it's sort of the opposite of their current policy. They're an employer themselves, and not just a small employer, the largest employer in the country. At the moment, they're suppressing wages for their own staff. That sends a signal to all other employers to do that too. Secondly, the minimum wage case is happening at the moment. The government could support wage rises for our frontline essential workers. They're people on the lowest wages in our country. We know they spend all of that money. And finally, we can do something, government can do something about high levels of casualisation. 60% of the jobs that have been created since the recovery have been casual jobs.
Do you think that taxpayer-funded wage rises for the public service would be a good political move, though, at this point?
I think that it's important for public sector wages to rise for 2 reasons. First of all, it sends a signal to other employers. Obviously, other employers compete with the public sector for good staff. So if they raise their wages, it sends a signal to those employers. So that would help the economy. Secondly, public sector workers, like all other workers, when they receive those pay rises, what do they do with it? They go spend it in their local restaurants, in their local cafes. They go buy things at the retail stores, so it all circulates back in the economy. So it's the very best you can do in terms of stimulating small and local businesses.
It would be quite a risk for any government of any stripe, wouldn't it, to give a public sector pay rise? And I agree with you, it is a signal to other employers, but if there's a lag time, that would be horrific for any political party. That wouldn't go down well with the public. So what would that gap be, do you expect?
Well, it just used to be normal. Just used to be normal to give fair pay rises to the public sector. It's actually not normal at the moment. Well, the government had this, what I think is quite a crazy idea, and I don't think they've honestly thought it through, of saying, well, public sector pay rises will only be in line with whatever happens in the private sector. Well, we know in the private sector it's less ability for those employees to push for wage rises, so we're not seeing wage increases there. So they're sort of like given an artificial ceiling to what they're going to do. And it's like a big lever they've got to make a difference, and choosing not to use that lever, I think in the end isn't good for the economy.